Hi everyone, meeting again to discuss the Unit 4 in organization behavior, which is more into the group dynamics. We'll try to understand. Let me just share the screen with you so that you can also see the presentation and understand and read it. So let's start the Unit 4, understanding dynamics of group behavior. So groups are collection of individual, as we all know, right? They play a crucial role in various aspects of human life, including social interaction, collaboration, problem solving, decision making, and support. Right? In 21st century, collaboration is utmost important. This is one of the very, very important trait which everybody should have. Should go for collaboration, right? An individual cannot solve all the problems all alone. You need to go and talk with the other people, right? So there should be some social connect, right? Social interaction has to be there. And when you talk about the group, group refers to a collection of two or more people, right? It's a very simple stuff, you know, and they share the common goals, they share the common interests, perceive themselves as a cohesive unit, you know. So group can vary in size, structure, purpose, duration, ranging from small informal gatherings to large formal gatherings. So if you I'll just give you the example. You have the groups in organization, right? You have the group in your department. You have the group inter-department. You have different groups, probably maybe in the clubs where you with the clubs which you have joined, right? So there are different groups. We can classify themselves into two parts, which is formal group and informal group. So formal groups are deliberately established groups within the organization to accomplish a specific task or objective. They have defined roles, structure, hmm, and responsibilities, right? So members are typically appointed or assigned to the group, right? You talk about the informal group. Informal group emerges spontaneously, right, based on your social relationship, common interest, and the shared characteristics. So suppose you are interested in discussing the entrepreneurs, right? And somebody else is also interested in discussing the entrepreneurs, right? And he is interested in doing some business, probably analyzing the business, rather, I would say. So you both will form a group whenever you have spare time. You will come together, you will talk, you will enjoy, right? So that's how informal groups are formed, right? Basically based on the interests levels. If you have the same interest or if you have the friendship group, right? You can talk about the primary group or the secondary group also. Primary groups are characterized by the close, intimate, and long-term relationship among the members. Important stuff to understand. When you talk about the primary group, you have childhood friends, right? You have uh, 25 odd friends with you, but out of that, only three are there with whom you are very much comfortable and you can discuss whatever you want. That is the core group. So if you convert this thing in the organization matter, and when you talk about the leadership there and you are the manager, I always firmly believe that you should have the core group. The core group simply means that the people. It's not that you are being biased. First of all, let me be very very clear in this. Close group basically says that yes, you are going to share the things with each other, right? You can have the small social circles, right? You talk about the secondary group. Secondary group are larger, less intimate, right? And often task oriented. So if you see, include the work teams, professional association, and community organizations, right? So these are the four classification. If you say as per the group is concerned, then we talk about the nature of the group, which is social interaction, interdependence, norms and rules, and cohesiveness, right? So when you talk about the nature, first is social interaction. Social interaction groups facilitates the social interaction among the members, allowing them to communicate. Interdependence is basically, group are interdependent as the name suggests, right? Their action, decision, and outcomes are influenced by and affect the other members, right? Norms and rules. There are certain groups which develop the norms and the rules and the expectations that guide members' behavior in the interaction. So roles within the group define individual responsibility, duties, and the contribution. So cohesiveness, group cohesiveness refers to the degree of attraction, right? Unity and commitment among the members. So cohesive groups are more likely to work together effectively, right? So this is basically the nature of the group, and let's talk about how group gets formed, right? Stages of group development, and then after we'll talk about certain models, right? So first we talk about how we develop the group. So first of all, it is the pre-stage, where pre-stage is basically nothing but when you are there in at some place, right? So ideally, it is not the part of these group development, but yes, you can include also, because when you are coming together at one place, after that the first stage will start, that is forming, right? So we can start with the forming, right? Forming, storming, norming, performing, and then adjourning, right? So forming, first of all, we are going to form a group, right? In the forming stage, group members come together and get acquainted with one and each other, right? They establish initial relationships, define goals and objectives, and clarify roles and the responsibilities. So just remember, when you get into the when you got into the UG or the PG stage, right? Got into the university, or maybe you went to the college, right? There are a lot of people you meet in the very first day, right? A lot of people first in the first week itself. And then after, slowly, gradually, you form a group out of those 50 odd people whom you have met in the very first week, or 70 odd people you have met. Out of that, you will find that there are only 7 or 10 people in your group now, or maybe 5 people in the group now. Why it happens, how it happens? Because first thing is the pre-stage, and then after forming, where you come together, try to understand each other, right? You talk with each other, then you define the relationship, right? You define the goals. If the interest matches, right? If you you know the if you are having the same background or something in common, then you form the group with that particular person. And this happens unintentionally at times, right? Most of the time, right? So 95, 99% time it is unintentionally you form the group with the people because of the same background or the same interest, right? So you define, and then define the goals and the objective, and clarify roles. This is informal, right? In the colleges, when went there, right? That is informal group. But when you talk about the organization, there intentionally, when we form the group, right, they define the goal and the roles and responsibility, because that is the formal group, right? Then we talk about the storming. Storming stage is characterized by the conflict, disagreement, competition among the group members as they negotiate rules, and influence and prioritize. So individuals may challenge one another's idea and authority as they seek to establish their place within the group, right? So storming happens. They disagree with each other, right? Competition, because of the competition, right? They try to place their space there in that particular group, right? So this is important, storming. Then after norming simply means, as the name suggests, in the norming stage, group cohesion increases as members resolve conflicts, and they have established the norms now. They have developed a sense of unity and cooperation, right? So they begin to collaborate more effectively and work towards the common goal. This happens in the norming. Then you talk about the performing. After having the roles and the responsibility fixed, rules are fixed, conflicts has been resolved. Now people will start performing with each other, for the common goal so that they can get the work done and efficiently they can, you know, complete the task. The performing stage is marked by the, high level of productivity. And we can say synergy also, right? Task accomplishment, as I said. So group members work together efficiently, communicate with each other, communicate effectively, and achieve desired outcome, right? So when the outcome has come, desired outcome has come, what will happen? Now it was a group basically for the task, right? And task is complete. This is the formal group. Task is complete now. What will happen? Adjourn. So now group will get disband, right? So in the adjourning stage, the group disbands or transition to the different phases. So members reflect on their experiences, celebrate achievement, right, and prepare for the future endeavors. So because the objective is complete, they will adjourn, they will disband, right, and they will enjoy the success, and then that's how it happens, right? So this stage is particularly relevant for temporary or project-based group, right? Because you had one task, you have completed it. So understanding the stage of group development can help leaders and members navigate the challenges and dynamics of group interaction, foster cohesion and the collaboration, right? And, they can achieve the optimal performance and the outcome, right? So if you see here, in forming stage, independence was there, pre-stage or rather forming stage, independence was there. Storming and norming stage, dependence and independence, both the things, because here you are challenging each other, right? Storming, you are trying to place yourself. And once the place is done, you are trying to, have the roles and responsibility fixed and everything. If you see the diagram here, everything is scattered. They have come together. Now it is happening. Communication is happening. If you see this dot, this dot, this dot, this dot, this dot, we have the arrows like he's talking to this fellow, this fellow, this fellow, this fellow is talking to both of this fellow is talking to both of these two people. So that's how, and then this is getting shaped, right? This picture is getting shaped here. Then after performing is happening, and that is the matrix structure, right? And then after adjourning, right? Because return to the independence, because the objective is complete. Okay, so this is basically about the stages of group development. Now let's talk about the punctuated equilibrium model, which is there in the group. It is, proposed by Jersik in 1988, right? As you can see here, it is proposed by Jersik in 1988, and it describes the development and functioning of the temporary group, particularly those working on complex tasks with a deadline, right? So Jersik has, explained about the group which is working on the complex task. So unlike traditional, linear model of group development, such as Tuckman's stage of group development, forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning stages were same, right? The punctuated equilibrium model suggests that temporary group undergo a non-linear process. Tuckman said that it is the linear process, wherein this Jersik says that no, it is non-linear process, and characterized by the period of inertia punctuated by the sudden burst, right? So key component, if you see here in this particular model, punctuated model, we'll talk about inertia phase, midpoint, transition, right? And final phase. So these are the key component in the punctuated equilibrium model. If you talk about the inertia, I'll just explain a little bit about it. The first stage, the group basically begins with with an inertia phase, during which members engage in familiarization, orientation, right? And planning activities, right? So there is often a sense of stability and routine with members adhering to existing norms and procedure, right? So this is inertia phase where they are getting familiarized, right? And, you know, um orientation kind of stuff is happening, right? So midpoint transition, what is that? The midpoint transition marks a significant shift in the group's dynamic, right? It occurs approximately halfway through the group's allotted time or deadline. At this time, members become aware of remaining time and the need of acceleration in the work or progress towards the task, right? Because half time is over now. This is the kind of feedback you can understand. In that ways, you can understand that group has to understand that the half time has passed. Now, what is the kind of inertia we should kind of efforts we should put in to complete the task on time. So midpoint transition serve as a wake up call, you can say, right? And which prompts them to re-evaluate their approach, make decision, right? Initiate changes if at all it is required, right? So this is what it is about the midpoint, the exactly half time, right? Then you talk about the transition phase. Following the midpoint transition, the um, group enters in a transition phase characterized by the increased activity, intensity, and the focus. So midpoint evaluation is done. After that, the transition phase will come because here members, may discard the ineffective strategies because halftime is done, feedback is done. They understand now what we should do now. Ineffective strategies can be, discarded. They may adopt the new strategies, new approaches. It is possible because halftime is done, right? So the transition phase is marked by sense of urgency because halftime is done. So, and of course, a little bit of pressure also to accomplish the task because if you are not moving in the, as per the plan way, right? If your achievement is not up to the mark as of now, right? Or probably your achievement, you are, lacking in as per the target is concerned, half time by half time you should have done achieve the half target, but it is not happening. So you need to discard the ineffective strategies, right? And leading towards the heightened motivation, collaboration is required, problem solving skills are required, right? So these things happen when you talk about the transition phase, which comes after the midway, midpoint or midway point. And then you talk about the final phase. In the final phase, the group implements the changes and decision made during the transition phase to complete the task or the project. There is flurry of activities as members, work to go towards achieving their goals and meeting the deadlines, right? The final phase may involve overcoming obstacles, resolving conflicts, making final decision or final adjustments, right? To ensure that the project is completed on time because this is sacrosanct. You need to complete the project on time. This is sacrosanct, right? So this is basically about the punctuated equilibrium model where we have got a key component. If you see in each inertia phase, midpoint, transition, and final phase, right? So there are certain characteristics and practical application we'll be talking about, right? So when you talk about the characteristic time constrained environment, right? As you know that we have just seen about the punctuated model time frame environment, constrained environment is there. Otherwise, midpoint transition would have never, needed, right? So time constrained environment is required. Then you talk about the non-linear progression. So non-linear progression, if you talk about the model will describe a non-linear progression of the group development characterized by the period of stability, right? In the inertia phase, punctuated by abrupt shift in the behavior and the activity, midpoint and the transition phase. So things have not been done, midpoint transition, you have evaluated, now you need to boost up the work, automatically it would be non-linear now, right? Deadline awareness has to be there, everybody should be aware about the deadlines, right? And things has to be done properly on time. So, it, deadline awareness has to be there. Then adaptive response, whatever that decision you have taken, midpoint transition phase, and then after you need to adapt it, right? You need to model, emphasize on the adaptive responses to changing circumstances and the need to make timely adjustment to plan and these strategies, right? Let's talk about the practical implication of this particular model. Managing time and resource, important stuff to talk about, right? Because it is time constraint, managing time and resources, it is important leaders and members of temporary group should be mindful of the time constraint and allocate resources, right? Facilitating the midpoint reflection. This is important because midpoint transition is the base, I would say. It is a strong pillar, I would say, in that particular thing because that gives you the sense that whether we are going on the right track or we are not on the right track. If we are not on the right track, you can still have the time to change the strategy and get the work done on the right time because that is sacrosanct. Again, I'm saying deadlines are sacrosanct, right? This is very important stuff, right? People take it at times very, casually that what happened about the deadlines, but understand this is the difference. This is the difference. What I said about the managers, who are having 15 days time for certain work, but they give you only 8 days, right? They give the team members only 8 days. That in 8 days their work should be done. This should not be done. Otherwise, when I say that deadlines are sacrosanct, has got no meaning, right? Because managers as himself are playing with this thing, right? So deadlines are not sacrosanct in that ways. If managers are playing this thing, but we believe that managers are playing their role, properly. So if the deadline is of after 15 days, they should communicate for 15 days to the team member correctly, and they should have the strategy like in 13 days we can finish the task, and rest 2 days we will be talking about the feedbacks and the if there is any mistake we can get time as the margin of the buffer time we will be having of 2 days. So that is fair enough, right? But if this is happening, managers are clear, right? Then we can say yes, deadlines are sacrosanct, right? So midpoint transition comes in picture, right? Then effective leadership, leaders play a crucial role in guiding the group through the stage of punctuated equilibrium model, providing the direction, support, and decision making. Right? Team building and cohesion, building a strong relationship, fostering open communication, right, and promoting collaboration. So this is basically practical application. You talk about the group properties and group decision making, right? Group decision making will be different than the individual decision making. I'll just explain it to you. There are only points which are written. Let me just first talk about the group properties, right? Roles, norms, status, size. Yeah. So what roles, if you talk about role, refer to the, expected behavior, responsibility, and functions assigning to individual within a group. They help organize group interaction, clarify expectation, right? And facilitate task performance. So role can be formal, officially designated, or informal, maybe, emerged from the interaction, and may include leadership role, task-oriented role, social role, maintenance role. It could be anything, right? It could be officially designated, or it could be during the discussion you informally, get the roles. You talk about the norms. Norms are informal rules basically, uh, or standards you can say of the behavior that guide and regulate the action of and the interaction of the group members. They define what is considered as acceptable and appropriate within the group context, right? So when group is there, automatically informal rules comes in picture, automatically, right? Norms can, maybe it happens over a period of time, right? Norms can relate to the, you know, relate to the various aspect of group behavior, right? Status basically refers to the relative position, rank, or level of influence, that individual hold within a group. So it determined by the factors such as expertise, experience, authority, and social skills. Right? You talk about the size. Group size refers to the number of members in a group. It can influence the dynamics, interaction, right, and effectiveness of the group. Small groups may promote the cohesion, collaboration, participation, but may lack in diversity, right? Diversity of the perspectives. Large group may offer a wider range of expertise, right, and resources, but can be challenging to coordinate and manage because the size is big, right? And like we say, everybody is the king of his own kingdom, right? So when you have the large group, it becomes very tough to manage everyone, right? And that is why probably you will get the diversity, but probably, you face the challenge in coordination and the managing. You talk about the cohesiveness. Cohesiveness basically refers to the degree of attraction, unity, and solidarity among the group members, right? Cohesive groups tend to exhibit higher level of cooperation, communication, and commitment, right? Which leads to the satisfaction, productivity will get increased, performance will be, up to the mark. So cohesiveness has to be there, right? Then you talk about the group decision making. Group decision making involves the process of reaching consensus or making choices within a group context, right? So several approaches are there as per group decision making is concerned. Uh, you know, just give me a sec. I think screen sharing will stop. No, it's right. Okay. So, majority basically influence the decision in the group, right? There are 20 members out of which 15 are saying one thing, so that will become the final decision. Most of the time it happens because majority of the people are saying the same thing, right? So decision are made based on the performance, preferences or the opinion of the majority of the group members, right? So this approach is, straightforward, but may overlook the minority viewpoint now or lead to the conformity pressure, right? So it's straightforward, but yeah, there are certain people who have got different opinion, and that is overlooked by this particular approach, right? Then the second one is consensus building. You discuss among yourself, and then you collaborate. You mutually acceptable decisions will be taken basis on the consensus of the all the members, right? So you talk with each other, you include everyone, and then you take the opinion, right? A lot of time taking process, right? This is the disadvantage of having the consensus building. But the good point is if you have the time before taking the decision, and if you include every member in that, it is highly, big time motivation for the group members, and they start, giving their own inputs. That's one. Second, when you include all the members, you get finally, a lot of different angles to see, and different dimensions you get so that you can get the best decision out of it. You talk about this is again positive side. Negative side is like it takes a lot of time to and efforts to achieve it, right? So cooperation, coordination, communication becomes a challenge, right? Because it's a large group, it becomes the challenge. But yes, positive are more than the negative. And depending on the time you adapt this approach, majority influence will work, or consensus building will work, or decision by authority. When you don't have time, right? This is the ideal situation in or ideal approach, I would say. When you don't have the time, you straight away take the decision. The authority will take the decision that this will happen. Otherwise, what will happen if you will start discussing with the group? People will not be, able to respond on time, and then the time will, the things will get delayed unnecessarily. So a designated leader or the authority figure makes the final decision on behalf of the group. The approach is, efficient, but may lead to dissatisfaction. It is possible, or the resistance among the group member. It is possible, but the leader should or the authority should be able to have the backup saying that you know we did not have the time, and that is why I had taken the decision. right? So there should be some logical reasoning behind it why it has been otherwise it will lead to the dissatisfaction to among the group members or at least few group members, I would say. Then you talk about the group discussion and the debate. Group members, as the name suggests, this approach, group members will debate with each other, right? And then they will talk about the positive or the negative, pros and cons. They will discuss. They will end up with come with the one decision, right? That is conclusion. They will come up with. They debate and then they solve the problem, right? Here the positive side is that you will get the critical thinking, right? Or maybe the creative problem solution you will get. Because you are discussing in the group, right? It is possible that you'll get creative solution or maybe critical thinking. Of course, it is there. Voting or polling is one of the simplest, approach of taking decision in the group. There are 100 members. You cannot have the group discussion. You cannot get into the final consensus, mutual consensus. Authority don't want to take the decision as of now. So first thing is the easiest thing is the voting or the polling. Just go and talk, communicate with the members that we are going to have poll on this particular problem. Please share your opinion, right? So group members vote or express their preferences, right, through the polling to make the decision. This approach is very, very efficient, but may oversimplify the complex issues. Please understand, everybody probably will not understand the gravity of the situation, right? And then they just they just give their voting, right? And they give their opinion. It is oversimplifying the complex issues because complex issues need to have more and more time. You need to seriously give more time and discuss it among yourself, right? So, it fails to capture the nuanced perspective, basically. Right, so effective group discussion, decision making relies on the factors such as communication, collaboration, information sharing, information sharing, consideration, consideration of the diverse viewpoints, right? So there are a lot of things. So by understanding and leveraging group priorities and decision-making process, groups can enhance their effectiveness, and the outcome. So this is about the group decision making. Next is the next topic is team. We'll talk about team, right? And types of team. We'll talk about. So, what does team mean? Team are the groups of individuals who come together to achieve a goal, common goal, or the objective. Unlike mere collection of individual, teams are characterized by the collaboration and interdependence, shared responsibilities, mutual accountabilities, right? So, this is the difference, right? There we have the mutual responsibility. They are interdependent, right? They have got certain rules. So interdependence is there, right? So team work together to leverage each member's skills, knowledge, and expertise, right? It is possible that I am good at in one thing, my other team member is good in the other thing, right? So we together will work. So basically, it is the collaboration and accountability will remain with me in the section where which is given to me, and the accountability will remain with my team member of the section which has been given to that particular fellow. So types of team, if you talk about, we have functional team, cross-functional team, right? Self-managed team, virtual team. So let's understand what exactly it is. Functional team basically, consists of the individual from the same department or functional area within the organization. They work together to perform a specific task or function, such as marketing team, finance team, sales team, right? You talk about the cross-functional team. Cross-functional, as the name suggests, consists of the members from different departments or the areas of expertise who can come together to work on a common project or the objective, right? They bring diverse perspectives and skills to address the complex problem and achieve the organization goal by working together. This is cross-functional. Then self-managed team are the autonomous groups of the employee who have the authority and responsibility to manage their own work processes, make decisions and solve problem collectively. They operate with minimal supervision, and are accountable for their performance. So you understand, if you are the manager in this kind of team, self-managed team, what all candidates, what all employees you will keep, because here we have the minimal supervision, right? As I just said, in self-managed team, basically, operate with the minimal supervision. So what kind of people will be required here? Theory Y kind of people, right? Because they are going to take the accountability by their own responsibility, right? Otherwise, theory X employee need supervision. You talk about the fourth one, which is virtual team. Virtual teams are the geographical is dispersed group of individuals who collaborate and communicate primarily through the technology. So virtual team, one is sitting in one place, other one is sitting in different country altogether. So they are collaborating through the technology. This is virtual team, right? Such as video conferencing, maybe email or online collaboration tools or whatever, right? So they enable flexibility and access to the diverse talent, but require effective virtual communication. Right? Communication is the key. As I said in the unit one, day one itself, I guess, in the first video itself, I guess, communication is the key. Right? Here we have the virtual communication, but that is very much required. Right? So this is the types of team we talk about creating effective team. See, effective team can only be created when we have the clear objective and the clear goals. First of all, this is the basic requirement. Without that, nothing will happen because people will not be able to understand their roles and responsibility. So how they will perform, right? Then you talk about the shared vision and the values. Effective team shares a common vision, mission, right? And set of values. It is simple. So they are basically aligned with the organization goals and committed to achieving success together. Then you talk about the diverse skills in the perspective. Effective team are composed of the members with diverse skills, backgrounds, perspective. They have the common goal and vision and mission and other things, but one person is good in one thing, one domain, other person is good in the different domains, so collectively they will work together, right? So diverse skills are required. Open communication. Communication is the key. Again, I reiterate, without that, nothing will happen. So they need to communicate with each other without any biasness, and they should feel very free to communicate at any given point in time, which will foster the growth of that particular or progress of that particular work which they are doing. Right? Constructive feedbacks are important. Healthy. And the other person should take it in a positive sense, right? Constructive feedbacks will actually boost the progress, right? So active feedbacks are required, active listening is required, honest dialogues, as I said, right? So this is what it is. And then you talk about the effective leadership, right? Effective leadership. Uh, uh, Basically, effective teams are led by the leaders who provide direction, support, and the guidance while empowering team members to contribute their best. This is nothing like it. I mean, you just delegate the responsibilities. That nothing like it. Leaders foster a positive team culture, right? As I say that tone is of the organization is always set by the higher authorities, right? So you need to understand this and facilitate the collaboration, right? So this is basically about the creating effective teams. That's how we can create the effective teams. Now let's talk about the traits, right? Traits required for becoming the effective team player. Communication skills. First thing first. Without that, nothing will happen. If you will not communicate, you cannot be a team player. It's very simple. I think, given a choice, I'll make this subject mandatory, right? Because at times I have seen people have got the talent, but they don't communicate, and then uh, team will not be able to get the benefit of their opinions, right? So communication is the key. Let's say with a very simple example in your college, if you are working on certain project or you are solving some case study, there are five people who are collectively solving one case, right? And four people are discussing, but one person has, is sitting quietly, but he has got the problem, the real problem, but he is not communicating, right? This is a very simple example at the college level I'm talking about. I think about the organization level, what will happen? You will lose in the revenues. There you have lose and lost in the probably in the case when you while you will be discussing with the within the class, so nothing will happen. But if you talk about the organization, if the person will not give you the real problem, then it simply means that you will be losing in the revenues, or probably you will lose the client, right? So it is big time problem. So communication is very, very important. You need to understand that effective team players communicate clearly, openly, and respectfully with their teammates. But at the same point in time, I must tell you that there are certain leaders which actually, you know, resist or put the barriers before in the communication. So this should not happen, right? You as a leader, you should just give them the chance to speak, and you basically create such environment that the other person, team member, should is feel like that I can communicate whatever I want. Doesn't matter it is the not so very good idea, but there is an idea, right? That is important. There is an idea, good, bad, we'll check later, but there is an idea, right? So they should have that feeling in their mind. So, accordingly, and then after they will start talking, right? So then they listen actively, as I said, seek clarification. Uh, that's how it happens. So collaboration and cooperation, the second thing, it is important to become a very good effective team member. Effective team players collaborate with others, share information, work together and towards the common goal, right? They value the teamwork, they support each other, their colleagues, right? They contribute to the positive team environment, right? Flexibility and adaptability has to be there. Effective team players are flexible and adaptable, right? As I said that, earlier that you need to have the adaptability. Without that, things will not happen, right? The effective team player will be willing to adjust their approach, priorities, methods, accommodate changing circumstances. Right? You talk about the reliability and accountability. Accountability is must, right? Accountability is must. Without that, things will go haywire. So effective team players are reliable and accountable for their actions and the commitments. Yeah, they've fulfill their responsibilities, meet deadlines. Follow uh, through the through the promises, right? All those things. And then after you talk about the problem solving, right? And then after initiative, right? So problem solving is basically effective team players are protective and resourceful, right? So they are, they take the initiative, offer solution, and contribute to finding creative and effective solution for the of the complex issues, right? So this is basically about the um, we can merge it. That's not a problem. Problem solving and initiative, right? And then after you talk about the development of the team decision making, right? And then after one very important topic, which I always love a lot, transactional analysis. Day-to-day activities, you are going to talk about it, right? If you can apply this thing in day-to-day activities, nothing like it. Normally, we call it TA, transactional analysis. We should understand this. We should start applying it, and trust me, it is gonna help you out, right? So first we'll talk about this team development and team decision making, and the last topic in the unit 4 is transaction analysis. After that, we'll discuss this, right? So first we'll talk about team development, as we had seen in the groups also: forming, storming, norming, performing, adjourning, as described by the Tuckman, right? Stages in the linear process. If you remember in the group, we had, as in the same way, we have these things here. We talk about the team decision making. Now, team decision making involves the process of reaching consensus or making choices within a group context. So, possibilities are there that including majority influence, consensus building, decision by authority, discussion and debate, and voting or polling, like we have discussed in the group, right? In the same way, we can also have the decision here, right, in the team. If you have the authority, most of the time authority takes the decision. Otherwise, if authority says that no, we can, you know, mutually discuss this thing and will come to the one consensus. We'll conclude after discussing and debating it. You can take decision in that ways also, right? That depends on the nature of the problem. The problem is really very complex. Debate is required. You may go for debate. If before taking the decision, you don't have time while for taking the decision, authority may take the decision, right? If you have time and the nature of the problem is very simple, it is possible that mutual consensus we can have the thing, or probably we can use the polling method also to save the time, right? So because the problem nature is simple and right, we also have the time, right? So any approach you can take to get the decision done. Now let's talk about one very important stuff, which is transactional analysis. It is one of my favorite. I always love as I said, my domain is more into my domain is psychology, organization, behavior, and marketing. And these three go, very good together. So I always love to talk about transaction analysis. Basically, I use it on daily basis, and it gives me a lot of good results. So Eric Berne is the name who had come up with this kind of model analysis, transaction analysis, TA normally we call it. This is a theory of personality and the communication, right? Developed by the psychiatrist Eric Berne in 1950s, right? This is the name Eric Berne in 1950s. He was the psychiatrist, right? So it offers a framework for understanding human behavior, communication pattern, and interpersonal skills, right? TA basically explores how individuals interact with each other, communicate message, form the psychological dynamics based on their ego state, transaction, and script, right? Based on their ego state, transactions, and the communication pattern as under, right? So this is the simple chart in which you can see two, three things. Here we have the sender, we have the receiver. Under sender, there are three things which are written: parent, adult, child. Receiver also, there are three things written: parent, adult, child, right? Then there are certain arrows which I'll explain what exactly it is, right? But before that, we need to understand one thing. Let me just do it in this way. Right? Yeah. So we need to understand these three words: ego state, transaction, and the scripts, right? Ego is not that ego which we generally, in general discussion we talk about. Ego state is basically of, three types: parent ego, adult ego, and the child ego stage. Like you have seen here, parent, adult, and child. Parent, adult, and child. These are the three kind of egos what we have, right? Right. So you talk about the parent ego. First, we'll understand the ego state, right? Then we'll understand the transaction. What do you mean by the transaction? And then we'll understand the third part, which is script. First, we'll understand this, and then after, we'll move to the chart and I'll explain what exactly it is, right? Okay, this is the application. So, what is parent ego? Parent state ego is basically, you know, when, parent ego state composed of the thoughts, feelings, and the behavior learned from the parental figure or the authority figure, right? Just listen to it. I'm going to explain it. Don't worry. It encompasses both nurturing and controlling aspect, reflecting the influence of parental upbringing and societal norms, right? Parental figure, authority figure, important stuff, right? And it encompasses both nurturing and controlling aspect. Important thing to remember, right? Parenting. You talk about the adult one. The adult ego, there are three kinds of ego, right? Parent, adult, and child. So we are talking about adult as of now. The adult ego state is characterized by the rational, objective thinking and decision making based on the present reality, right? Based on the present reality, it involves logical analysis, critical thinking, and problem solving without the influence of the past conditioning, right? So these are the key words which you should keep in mind to understand the conversation and the communication when actually it happens in the real life, right? Then third is child ego. Child ego states that it consists of the thoughts, feelings, and the behavior, right? Learned during the childhood. These are the three egos, right? So at times, when we talk with the people, anyone for that matter, that person will talk to me or to you having either one of these three ego in the mind, right? Ego means that ego, normal ego, nahi, but any one of these three ego, parent ego, adult ego, or the child ego, right? Any one of these three will be there in the mind while talking. And so in your case also, because you are also communicating, so you will be in some ego. It could be child ego, it could be adult, or it could be parent. That depends on the communication we'll talk, right? So then the second thing comes in picture. Transaction refers to the interaction, interaction and exchange of the messages, as I just said, between the individuals. So in TA, transactions are classified on the ego stage involve complementary transaction and crossed transaction. So complementary transaction occur when the sender and receiver communicate from corresponding ego state, right? This is complementary. Complementary means what? When two people are communicating, out of that, this person, this person is in, let's say, ego stage. This person is in ego stage while communicating. And this person who is listening to this fellow is also into the ego stage, right? So if you understand, I don't know how to write here. If there are two people, A and B, A is communicating to B, A is saying something to B, A is in, parent stage, B is also into the parent stage. Both the ego stages are same, right? So that is complementary transaction which is happening. But A is in the child stage and child ego stage, and B is in the adult ego stage, right? So this is crossed transaction. I'll show you the chart. Now this is parent is communicating to child. Parent ego. It's not parent like mother, father, but parental figure, ego, right? In the mind. So parent ego is communicating to the child ego. This is crossed. Or adult is communicating to parent. For example, this one. Just look at the cursor. Adult is communicating. There we don't have the arrow. I'm just trying to explain it. Adult is communicating to the, receiver is in the mind of ego, parent ego stage. This is crossed. The blue line which you see here, adult is communicating with the adult, this one horizontal. And adult is responding to the adult. This is complement, right? So what is the communication? Please take this thing. What is the communication? Communication is basically, can we please explore why this project is taking longer to complete than expected? This person, sender, has asked to this fellow who is again in the adult ego stage. This fellow is again in the adult ego stage, right? Now, this fellow is in the adult ego stage. The response he has given to this fellow, sender, what is the response? Great. Let's take a look together and figure it out. And as I would love to finish it. This is again in the adult ego, right? This is into adult ego. So when both the people are in the adult ego, this is the ideal situation in any organization, with any in any conversation. Both has to be there in the adult ego. What adult ego does? Adult ego talks about the on the basis of the logic. They think rationally, right? And they respect each other also. So if you see the conversation here, both adult ego people are respecting each other, right? This fellow has asked for something, so other fellow is, talking affirmative and with the positive attitude, right? So adult ego is always good in the conversation, in the organization. This is very, very important. But if there is cross sectional, cross communication, right? Like this, cross transactions, then there will be a problem, right? So you talk about this particular stuff, child ego will talk to the parent ego. It will be a problem. I tell you how. That parents will be right, parental ego will be what? They would like to control, right? And they would like to command, and they are there in the authority, right? So there are two kinds of parent ego. One is critical and one is nurturing. One is critical means what? They are going to talk always, negative, and they are pressurizing people. They are threatening the, other people, and this is the, critical parent. So, and the other one is nurturing, who is always supportive, right? Who always give, talk with the positive attitude with their child, right? So these are the positive, nurturing parent. Now, if you there in the organization understand this, or in the day-to-day life also when you are communicating, right? So the moment other person speaks, you easily get to know whether that person is in parent ego, adult ego, or the child ego. If the person is an adult ego, then it is no problem. That is the ideal condition, and then you can respond with the adult ego stage, right? So it will match. So there will not be any problem. But if the person is in parent stage, right? Parent ego stage, and then you try to, you know, again be into the parent ego stage, then there will be clashes. So particularly, I would request you not to get involved in such kind of stuff with your superiors, right? First judge in what ego stage they are in at that particular point in time. It doesn't, see, they are seniors doesn't mean that they will always be in the parent stage, right? They may get into the of course, adult stage, or most of the time they will be in, but at times they are into the parent stage also, right? So when they are into the parent stage also, just do not do anything, just be into the child stage, right? Just follow their whatever they are saying and things will be sorted, right? I've seen it, right, in my 12 years of professional industry career. And after that, of course, 6 years of academics I'm into. So overall 18 years, but I have seen it very clearly, right? If the person is in parent stage, I'll be coming into the child stage so that nothing will happen. It's okay, fine. There is no problem, right? So what I'll do in the child ego stage, I'll just follow, right? I'll just follow whatever they are saying, right? I'll come back to the parent stage, ego stage again. First, we'll talk about this. The child ego stage consists of thoughts, feelings, and behavior learned through the childhood. It includes both adaptive behavior, right? such as spontaneity, creative curiosity, emotional reaction, right? So adaptive behavior is the key word here, right? You are going to adapt. Whatever they are saying is correct. I'm okay with that. Okay, fine, no problem. Right? So they will be okay with this, right? In day-to-day conversation, it is again very, very important, right? So now you talk about the communication. I'll come back to the chart again, right? I'll explain it in a way so that you can understand. So now talk about the strokes. Strokes are the unit of recognition, attention, validation, exchange between the individual. This is a key point, right? Positive strokes such as praise, compliment, affection, reinforce social bond and self-esteem, wherein negative strokes such as criticism, disapproval can undermine the relationship. Now you need to understand when you are talking, when somebody else is talking with you, he or she is in a parent ego stage. If he or she is talking about the recognition, attention, validation, this is nurturing parent, right? Wherein if it is criticism, disapproval, negative things, negative strokes, right? This is negative stroke because the other person is going to feel negative about it. And even if that fellow is in adult stage, you can respond in the positive. You will respond in the positive sense, right? When the person is in adult ego stage, here they are going to talk something very critically. They will say in a very polite way. But when you talk about the parent ego stage, that will be in the different, language altogether, different attitude altogether, right? It will be probably in the negative attitude, right? So they will be critical parent stage. And when they are appreciating or doing some healthy discussion, uh, it will be in the adult ego stage. So ideal condition is adult to adult communication should happen, right? Ego stage. So when you talk about the critical parent, they always try to command authority, right? They are into. Wherein nurturing, they always try to, groom you as a child, right? So it happens in the organization or while talking with the people. So next time, whenever you start applying it, whenever you talk with someone, please try to understand in which ego stage that person is talking to you, and accordingly you give them the response so that you will start practicing it, and of course it will make you understand that person better, right? So you talk about the games are repetitive pattern, right? So this behavior characterized by the hidden agendas, ulterior motives, predictable outcomes, right? uh, you talk about the scripts are unconscious, life is planned, right? Scripts are the unconscious life plan patterns, right, learned in the childhood. So when you talk about the child ego, child ego or child basically could be the normal child or the rebellion child. What is rebellion child? Rebellion child ego will be there in the mind, uh, particularly to those people who in their childhood they have got always the criticism or the negative things from the parents or the guy, the place where they have lived in. So they get into the rebellion child, right? They start attacking, or probably that is why we say then rebellion child, right? So that is again very, very problematic. So if, let's say, interesting part is, if let's say critical parent ego stage is communicating with the rebellion child, what will happen? Disaster. Disaster will happen, right? Because this is the rebellion child ego stage. This is commanding, right? Both will not match. So that's how discussions actually turn into the arguments. If you want to safeguard, you need to understand this ego stage and then accordingly adapt. If the person is in adult stage, you talk with the adult stage. If the parent is in parent stage, but nurturing parent, Probably you try to, talk with the adult stage. That is very good because they are the nurturing parent. And later on, it is possible that they also get into the adult stage, right? If the person is talking with the critical parent, that time you need to check. If that person is senior to you, you become the normal child and just accept whatever they are saying at that particular given point in time, right? But if you just try to, revert with the parent stage or the rebellion child stage, then there will be a problem because they are your senior, right? Ex- there is a respect of the experience, what they have, right? It's not about the age, but it's about the experience what they have. So I firmly believe, this is my opinion, and I firmly believe that I should, or everybody, in fact, for that matter, should respect the, experience. Whatever is the age, but experience matters, right? It matters a lot. So it's okay. So if the person is talking with the child is ego stage here, right? If the person is talking with the child ego stage here, you may talk with that particular fellow with the adult ego stage. This is the ideal condition, or you may get into the parent ego stage. Doesn't matter. You may get into the nurturing parent, right? It is okay. That depends on the situation, which ego stage you are going to adapt. But ideal situation, best possible situation, and the organization, or for that matter, any communication across the globe is adult to adult because they are logical, they are, critical thinking they apply, and then accordingly they are uh, solution oriented, right? So this is the best possible ego stage or the communication thing, right? So I hope this is clear to you. I would request you to please start applying this thing, otherwise things will go haywire until and unless you apply. If you want to read more about it, there are a lot of research paper has already been published. If you ask me somewhere, if somebody will ask me, I'll share the papers with you. Or you can take a book written by Robbins, right? Robbins is good. You can take it. Or there are a number of research papers. I mean, these are the two ways which you can have more and more knowledge. Or you can anyway write to me. I'll explain it to you more, right? Then let's talk about the application. Application is very simple. Counseling is important, right? Therapy, TA is used in, psychotherapy and counseling to help individuals gain insight into their communication pattern. You need to understand what ego stage you are in, right? Interpersonal dynamics. Mm, Therapists use TA technique to facilitate self-awareness, right? Right, and then self-awareness, the word when it comes in, I always, talk about the Johari window also, which anyway, I'm not going to talk as of now because it is not there in the syllabus as of now, but certainly it is again a very, very beautiful concept to understand, Johari window. Uh, Later on, we'll talk in some other maybe subject. Organization development, TA is applied in organizational development to enhance communication, leadership and team dynamics. Yeah, it helps individual and teams understand their role, right? Then you talk about the education and training. Transactional analysis is used in education and training setting to, promote effective communication, conflict resolution. These all things are there. If you talk about the practical aspect of or the application part of this TA, right? Um, Now, you know, I would like to talk about a little bit more in the, you know, this TA analyze, offer TA analysis basically offers the valuable insight about the human behavior, communication, and relationship. So more you practice, better you will become in the communication. You are not going to lose in the sense I'm not saying in the competitive spirit, but I'm saying that you would be always able to maintain the relationship, right? Doesn't matter personal or professional. You will always be able to maintain the relationship. This, psychology, hobby, and these things really work, So we'll explain more concepts. We'll move to the fifth unit, right? This fourth unit, here we end with the fourth unit. I officially declare that fourth unit is over, right? In the fifth unit, we will be talking about the dynamics, organizational dynamics, right? That is the fifth unit we'll be talking about in the next video. Till then, I'll stop sharing and stop recording the video. Enjoy yourself. Take care. And if you have any question, please let me know. Right? Maybe you can write the email or you can get in touch with me. I work in Mahabharata University. My name is Vikas Chandra Sharma. I'll be more than happy to discuss any concept related with the psychology and organization behavior. Right? We'll be talking about it. Thank you so much, guys. Thanks a lot. Enjoy yourself. Bye-bye. Take care. Next video we'll meet again. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Family is the genesis of this group.
Family is everything for us.
They know the nitty-gritty of what needs to be done.
We're each other's building blocks.
It has never been two families. It has always been one.
પરિવાર એ જ સર્વસ્વ છે.
Without family, I think we would lose my sense of direction. So the Marwari Group's foundation, I think, comes from the desire to prosper. Starting with Marwari Shares and Finance, the retail financial services business, and primarily into stock markets and stock broking segment in India. Essentially, we have 110 odd branches across Gujarat, Maharashtra, about 4 lakh customers or 400,000 customers. It's a business that's stood the test of time.
એટલે એ અમારા ફાધરના ટાઈમથી આવ્યું છે કે આપણે કોઈ પણની અપેક્ષા વગર કોઈને પણ સપોર્ટ કરવો કે એવું નહોતું એમ કે કોઈ પણ નીડ બેઝ હોય કે કાંઈ પણ ઓર્ગેનાઇઝેશનમાં સ્ટાફ હોય એને આપણે ફેમિલીની જેમ જ ગણીએ છીએ કોઈ દી સ્ટાફ તરીકે કે એવું ગણતા નથી એમ.
Then we talk about Marwari University, which was founded in 2009 by my father, and Jeetubhai Chandarana as the co-founder of the Chandarana family.
We started as just 360 students with just 5 classes on ground. But at the same time, the vision was huge.
We are now at 11,000 students and it's a 35-acre campus.
અને એ બધું 100% વિઝન એનું જ છે અને આખું એન્ટાયર નેટવર્ક યુનિવર્સિટીનું એ જ જોવે છે.
Creating new generational students, helping them to do well in life needs multidimensional approaches these days.
And that's how we started that let's do something for society and to give something which is missing in this country. So that's how we started setting up this university.
So Marwari Chandarana Intermediaries and Brokers Private Limited. So that entity is in partnership with the Chandarana family, Jeetubhai Chandarana, Nishit Chandarana, and Amish Chandarana. So that's about proprietary and algorithmic trading, where we've got about 1,500 plus traders directly, indirectly working with us.
ત્યારે મેં હંમેશા વિચાર્યું છે કે કોઈ પણ બિઝનેસથી એવી રીતે કરવો જોઈએ કે જે સ્કાય ઇઝ ધ લિમિટ હોવી જોઈએ. એમાં કંઈ લિમિટેશન હોવા જ ન જોઈએ. તમારી જેટલી કેપેસિટી વધે એટલું તમારે કામ આગળ ને આગળ તમારી પાસે હોવું જ જોઈએ.
So far what we are traditional broker with, of course, a pinch of all the new age technology available in our business.
I am a hardcore trader. I am always on the screen. I used to hear the talks about markets, business on the dinner table. So it was always fascinating about joining stock markets at an early age. So that's how I joined them, my father and my brother.
Business and the partnership is just based on trust.
It's not just one person who is going to achieve success. It's all of us together who are going to reach our goal and achieve success.
Most recent business we've entered is Pixin Energy. we've entered energy as a sector and power as a sector.
We have around 200 people now, and one question, when we ask, why do you want to join Pixon? They have, this one standard answer that it's a group, it's a part of the Marwadi family, and that's why we want to join.
That belongingness, that ownership should come if you treat them like your family members.
The most recent business and the latest one is One Finance, which I founded. One Finance is essentially a reimagined personal finance institution.
We started with building it on like multiple values and all that, but we just wanted that one word that can define that why do we exist. And then finally we realized that just by being honest, everything else falls in line,
So we offer unbiased, qualified and hyper-personalized advice on one's personal finances.
We have always believed in, building up the relationship with clients and our authorized partners who are, pillars for our success, I would say.
If you don't have people whom will share your success or prosperity, then it has no relevance on its own. So Believe Family is an effort. As united, we achieve something. And we all three brothers, told our father, no, we will not take this risk. But he said, no, I'm going ahead with it, whether you join us or not. And that's how we are today where we are. So it was his courage, his entrepreneurship and his ability to see future. I think that's what made us today what we are.
યંગર જનરેશન પાસેથી તો ઘણું શીખવા મળ્યું છે જે અમને અત્યારે નવું જે યંગર જનરેશન ડેવલપ કરે છે સારી ભાવનાથી સારી રીતે.
They are carrying the legacy forward, and I'm very proud to know that and to share even that. I mean, it's a very proud thing for us.
દરેક વસ્તુઓ છે એ પેરેન્ટ્સે પણ સમજવી પડે કે તમે એને એની રીતે કરવાની છૂટ આપો. એના અત્યારના જનરેશન પ્રમાણે એને આગળ વધવા દો.
They have an open mind to take it to the next level and exploring other ways, the ways that may not have worked for them.
Like every generation learns from new generation. Like what my father couldn't do, we did it. What we don't understand, they are doing it.
I think the Marwadi Chandarana group represents and lives purpose. It represents and lives impact. It represents and lives creating sustainable long-term businesses and organizations. And Marwadi Chandarana group represents taking risks where it matters, not just for themselves but those who we impact directly and indirectly, right? So we employ about 4,500 people across all organizations. We've got about 5 lakh customers, students, so on and so forth. We've designed the business model in a way where the customer and the people's interest, directly or indirectly, is at the heart of our business. So we're a people-centric company. We're not a customer-centric or an employee-centric company. Without our values, Marwadi and Marwadi Chandarana Group won't be where it is today.